So what are some best practices and trends for the year that we haven't already pointed out or spoken to? Or I know, Komal, you're going to dig deep into mental health. I wanted to start by going back to the concept of belonging. So first of all, my first best practice or focus for you in 2024 is belonging. And of course, I have a bias in favor of it because I've written 2 books on it. But that aside, we know from the research that we are in a loneliness epidemic in the US and Canada. We were already in this epidemic pre-pandemic, let alone the aftermath of the pandemic and everything that we have seen happening. And we continue to see data based on your internal pulse survey results, but also data by researchers that, and in our own work and research within BCI, that people are continuing to experience a lack of belonging in the workplace. And in fact, let's go back to the last few months and how difficult this moment has been, where people feel like they can't be authentic and speak their truth about a range of topics that are surfacing in the world, including connected back to geopolitics. When we can't speak our truth, as Komal and I mentioned, this is about a lack of belonging. We feel like we can't be who we are. Belonging is about the profound feeling we hold within of being honored and accepted for who we are, being able to speak our truth. And so we know this is a challenge and a problem. And this is why in 2024, all of the work that we do around leadership must go back, must connect to belonging. Because belonging is the outcome, as I've already mentioned, of diversity work, of inclusion work, of equity work, of psychological safety work, of trust work. And so putting things into that framing of belonging, where we know that everyone wants to belong because we're all wired as humans to desire belonging, for me, is a really important framing and a must-do for the year. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Komal and I have already touched on this, and I spoke to this a little bit, but let me come back to it. In 2024, let me take a step back. I was in India on vacation in over the holidays, and you'll know this if you follow me on Instagram, which you really should, or connect with me on LinkedIn, because I put pictures up on LinkedIn as well. And one of the messages I had while I was in India about being in India is that I was in India having this amazing time while I was watching all kinds of pain in the world. And I was in India having a wonderful time while watching all kinds of pain unfold there and disparity unfold there. And it got me really thinking about duality, which is also very rooted in Eastern spirituality. The divide between good and bad, darkness, evil, light, and also just understanding that it's really hard. Life is both beautiful and it is hard. And I think this year is going to be a year of duality. We collectively are going to experience high highs and low lows. And individually, for many of us, we are going to have high highs and low lows. And our ability as people to manage duality is going to be key. And it's a practice or a skill that a lot of us haven't been taught before or thought of before, because we've been taught to only be positive or to anchor in only the wins, as opposed to also have capacity to hold the difficult moments. And so duality is going to be an extremely important, managing duality will be an extremely important skill set for this year. And then related to that, stretching our skills and understanding the practice of duality is, I think this is the year where we double, triple, quadruple down on providing training in stretch skill areas, like how to be empathetic. Like, what does it really actually mean to be empathetic? What does it really actually mean to lead a difficult conversation? Because these are all the skills we're having to use right now. Let's go back to self-care, Stuart, your point earlier. How do we self-regulate? How do we monitor and track how we're doing and feeling so that it impacts how we lead a difficult conversation and how we be empathetic? And by the way, that ability to self-regulate, I call it core wisdom. It's in my book. we've got this. So I highly recommend reading that section on core wisdom. The next area that I wanted to talk about is faith-based inclusion. As you may know, at BCI, we have been talking about faith-based inclusion forever. And we even on our website, on our YouTube channel, have videos on the importance of focusing on faith-based inclusion in the workplace. And what we are seeing unfold, rooted in geopolitics in this moment, underscores how there's such a lack of understanding around the complexity tied back to racial, ethnocultural identity, its intersection with faith, the differences in how we practice and believe what we believe, the lived experiences of anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or anti-brownness or whatever the hate is that's coming our way, tied back to our identities. This is a moment for us to really be mindful that we should have been doing more on faith-based inclusion in the workplace historically, but this is the time for us to do it. And then the last two areas, and then Komal, I'm going to turn it to you, is that I think 2024 is going to be the year of us being pushed to talk more and more about elder care in the workplace. And the reason for that is our aging demographic. As you know, we have more and more people aging and leaving the workplace. But more importantly, there's a bunch of us who are due on the front line of doing elder care work and responsibilities. As you may know, Komal and I are caregivers to both our parents, but in particular to our mom, who is in palliative right now. And both of her and I live with grief every day, and it is a struggle and it is a journey. So elder care, everyone, let's start talking about it and naming it. And then the last area is neurodiversity. I think that as we are in a place where we increasingly understand that our brains work differently, and isn't that beautiful? Let us talk more about neurodiversity.